Are you wondering how many pages your resume should be? Well, stick around because the age-old debate rages on, and that is what we are tackling today. Okay, so the age-old debate of how many pages should your resume be is 100% alive and well. In fact, over the last week, I had yet another person sitting in front of me saying, I was told that I needed to change my resume from being 3 pages to 1 page because that is what is current, or apparently that is what is supposed to be the industry standard. And the sad fact is that that's not actually always the case. Sure, there is times where a 1 page resume may be appropriate, but this sort of blanket approach of, our resume should be this many pages, or as a standard, or this many pages as a standard, is just not true. And we need to get our heads out of the cloud when it comes to your resume has to be a specific length. And I want to add some data into this conversation so that you can see preferences when it comes to recruiters and hiring managers and what they are actually looking for. Now, here's the thing. When you have a look at, on Google, you will see that there is a boatload of pages that come up, all with varying pieces of information about how long a resume should actually be. So there is clearly confusion that wraps around, this subject. And really, what is the truth? Now, before I get onto the stats when it comes to resume length, let me say this. There is, an ideal number of pages, for example, and then there is just plain ridiculous. So the longest resume that I have ever looked at and rewritten was 25 pages. I am not joking. This thing was like 1 page short of a riveting Jane Austen novel. And no one needs to know where you went to kindergarten and who your kindergarten teacher was. Seriously, this thing was so in depth. I have never seen anything like it. So, there is obviously some boundaries that we tend to put in place with resumes. And if you're currently sitting at 25 pages, I can tell you that is far too long. But moving on. So in 2022, Resume Go did a good size study when it came to resume length and how long resumes, should be, or what the preferences were. And essentially, they sent out 7,000 resumes to 482 recruiters and HR managers, HR professionals, etc. And the bottom line is that if you are an experienced professional, and let's be real, that's who I work with. I work with mid-career professionals, people who have got a good amount of experience under their belts. So you're not a high school student, you're not someone who is entering the workforce for the first time. You've got a few positions under your belt, okay? So experienced professionals, your application will most likely take a hit by minimizing your information to 1 page. Okay, so this is essentially what the data came out with. So for mid-career professionals, a 2-page resume is preferred. However, of course, that assumes that you have enough information to fit onto 2 pages, right? If you only have enough information for 1 page because you have been in the same business for 20 years and you've only really held one role, then sure, you may only have 1 page. You may only have enough information for 1 page. But for the bulk of people that I work with who do have a reasonable level of experience in the marketplace, 2 pages is actually preferred. Now, if anything, when it comes to mid-career professionals, what I see is far too many people sitting with 6 or 8 page resumes. It's like we can't let go of our older career history, the history that's beyond, say, 15 years, even 10 years. And it's not to say that you need to completely omit that earlier career history. You just need to shorten it down, right? We don't need full details of every position that's dating back to the 90s. Okay, we can start to trim that back and have a much cleaner and shorter and more concise resume. But essentially, the study is confirming what I have been educating for a long time, and that is the days of a really long resume format are over. Short, sharp, and concise is where it's at. Now, if you can't fit it into 2 pages, three's not too bad. But once you're getting over three, I would really start to consider what's going on with your formatting. How much content do you really have in there? Are you, kind of holding on to content for the sake of holding on to its sake? Really start to have a look at that content and consider whether it actually really needs to be there, and maybe the format as well. Maybe your formatting could be adjusted so that you can actually come back to 2 pages quite comfortably. Of course, out of curiosity, if you do have a 25-page resume, or you have read a 25-page resume, whatever the longest one is that you have read, drop it in the comments for me to have a look at. Until next time, bye.